A band beyond the power of all geekdom, Red Cross.
Entertainment Weekly magazine called my next guest the most important band in America, Red Cross.
They're the ones that survived everything, and they're still here.
Holy smokes, what a film. I hope you enjoyed that, everybody. Movie rules. Whether you're a huge fan or you just got exposed to the band, what a movie. Thank you for being here. Okay, let's bring up to the stage our special guests. Jeff and Stephen McDonald of Red Cross. Thank you, folks. All right, here we are. By the way, before we even get started, in my thank yous at the beginning, I forgot to thank Chris Murphy, if you're in the house, because you hooked us up with accommodation for these fine fellows. I knew there was something I forgot. Thank you very much. All right, well, let's get this started.
All right, so I just have a few softball questions for you guys, and then we're going to open it up.
It'll be hardball from the audience.
Yeah, it'll be hardball. Okay, so, I mean, the documentary talks a bit about like Macaroni and Me and Spirit of 76 as fictional movies, and then of course Alison Anders, you have been in some of her films. How was the experience of making the documentary different? I mean, obviously those are fictional and the documentary is about your real lives, but was there anything about it that you didn't expect that surprised you? Maybe that going in you thought, oh, this is how it's going to be, because, you know, we've done films before. How is it different in surprising ways?
Well, a lot of it was done at our house, at our homes, right. You know, which is not on sets.
No green screens, yeah.
And no, we didn't have to learn any lines,
right?
Which was good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think the documentary, you've got to try to. Through 8 years, I was able to kind of just ignore the camera and the people operating the camera and the sound, even though they're all our friends, essentially. Right. That was the only weird part. But yeah, that, you know, it's strange.
Did you feel more pressure because you didn't have like a character to rely on? It was just you?
No.
I felt less
it's way
pressure?
easier to be myself.
Ah, okay, interesting.
Yeah, lines are difficult.
Okay, this is just like Wonderama for the, okay, a young lady in the back. You with 2 hands.
2 hands.
So you have a record player and you don't own the self-titled Red Cross album and you're interested in owning it. Then come and get it. Come on up.
Cheers for the 2-handed lady.
Wow.
Okay, we also have, I have 2 tickets to the concert tomorrow night, too.
Wow. Do it again? I can do it again.
Well, but maybe there's a more skill testing question.
Okay.
No, I don't have it, so I don't know.
You don't have a question?
Yeah, you mean like a trivia question?
Yeah.
Like maybe an actual.
Think of one from the movie Who Was Paying Attention.
Oh, I know one. There was one of us, I can't remember which one of us, but in the movie, one of us refers to our hometown of Hawthorne as the
Liverpool in the Pacific.
Holy!
And you gotta see us at these palace, come on down.
Who was that? Okay. You know what? I'm gonna have to email you those tickets, so that's fine. I'm the guy in the Bermuda shirt. Talk to me after, okay? I do have them though, thank you. All right, let's, some questions from well, yes, you right there, you're first.
So my introduction to Red Cross's music and existence was the incredible soundtrack to the movie Good Burger. I was just wondering, like, how did that come about? Because it was 96, 97ish.
Yeah.
Kel was a huge fan.
Okay.
No kidding. No, it was just one of those show busy things where they just publishers find acts to be on these soundtracks.
Yeah, I wish it was a sexier song.
But I was a fan, so I'm very honored to be a part of that.
What song is on that?
It was a song called SoCal V8. It's actually a really good track. Deep cut.
Way in the back, if you want to shout it out.
Yes, I was thinking about the Divinals. You know the band, the Divinals?
Yeah.
Visa X produced Touch Myself. I was just wondering if you had any relation to this smash hit.
I knew the song I Touch Myself by the Divinals from Australia. It's a classic, but Gaza X produced that. I think you're confusing it with the demo for Bitch by Meredith Brooks.
Yeah.
Because I know he did that.
Gaza produced Teen Babes from Monsanto and Bitch by Meredith Brooks. That's for his own
But
music.
the Divinals, I don't think you're correct on that.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Someone's going to have to, look it up.
I'm sure we all have our phones in our back pockets. You're welcome.
Nice
Okay.
question.
Anybody else? Yeah. Right over there.
Hi. So my sister and I grew up in Winnipeg, home of Neil Young, Middle Prairies, early '90s, pre-internet days, and so we much music interviews. We saw you guys also Brave New Waves, Nightlines, CBC FM, Radio After Dark, No Brother Human Serbia, and so we would just make tapes of you guys interview some of the Jeff with those sunglasses and and we would just watch interviews over and over and then get different, we've managed to get our hands on Desperate Teenage Love Dolls and Spirit of '76 and memorized everything. And at one point, almost 20 years ago in California, I met Steve and I called my sister on a cell phone in Winnipeg and then just got you to say Johnny Tremaine's line, "My legs, they're blue."
Oh, I did that for you?
Can you do it now, Steve?
Thank you. So I just wondered, one of the things that, compared to other interviews that we, taped on our parents' VCR was, I just feel like you guys were, narrating stuff. Are there any stories that you would like to tell us about, Desperate Teenage Love Dolls, Spirit of '76, anything else, stuff that wasn't in the movie that, we think we would like to hear?
Yeah, I'll tell you a little story. In the movie, a lot of people who have been deep Red Cross fans the one critique they have is that we didn't cover the Desperate Teenage Love Dolls films in our movie. And it was a film made by our little friend group, and Dave Markey was the director. He had a plastic camera, and we all decided we wanted to make this film, and we were all, we just did it on our free time. But there was one scene where I play a character who becomes possessed by Gene Simmons.
Back to the possession.
Yeah, possessed by Gene Simmons from Kiss. There's a really great possession scene. And I pistol whip Bruce Springsteen. No, I assassinate Bruce Springsteen on stage.
As Gene Simmons.
And then, of course, I'm chased by the cops. But when we were filming the movie, since we were based in Beverly Hills, for some odd reason, we just, let's go to Lucille Ball's house. Let's just film there. So we would, need exterior. So I, she was still alive too. I was coming out of her backyard in the shot with all the Kiss makeup on, stumbling, walking across the yard out of the shot. And then I'm standing on the corner, and then this totally beat up Mustang car, it's like a 1966 Mustang, pulls up. I look, and the window's down, and it's Michael Jackson. And I just go, "Hi, Michael." And he goes, "Hi," and drove off. And nobody believed me. Nobody believed me, and I'm like, no, this is real. Many years later, when Michael's book Moonwalker came out, he talks about one of his favorite things to do is to go and rent cars at Rent-A-Wreck and drive around. And it was a total beat-up old Mustang. So yeah, Mike. So when you see that scene, when you watch Desperate Teenage Love Doll Superstar, the second film, Michael Jackson, right after I walk out of that backyard, I walk right to the window, Michael Jackson's window.
I would say in everybody's defense, one of the reasons why no one believed Jeff about the Michael Jackson story, because he had this habitual thing of what he would always claim to see the actress Charlene Tilton in different places, and so he became known for false Charlene Tilton sightings. It was like this habitual thing, and so we grew to not believe his celebrity sightings.
I live in Los Angeles, so eventually I did see Charlene Tilton at a Yo Frozen.
Yeah, sure you did.
Swear to God. Yeah, back there. Yeah, you.
Yeah, you.
Hey there, this is Chris and I'm playing the band Sloan.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So I did an interview, a guy interviewed me, Ken Sharp, for like a Power Pop series book, and that was fine, and I was excited to be a part of it, and then I asked if you guys had been interviewed, and he said no, and they said you couldn't get in touch with you. I don't know if you've done it, and also, what is your relationship with the term Power Pop? Do you find it a shitty way to be classified?
Well,
Can you expand on that, and have you done that interview?
Yeah, I have. I think I did the Ken Sharp interview. I think it's in like the 3rd volume of these Power Pop books, Bibles. They're like 900 pages each. But the Power Pop. Well, when we started playing when we were little kids and we were punk rock, Power Pop that actually was used to describe groups like the Knack and the Plimsolls and the other bands that were like kind of our rivals at the time.
Rivals?
Punk rockers.
We were children.
We were children.
Grown adults.
I don't mean that we actually had these beefs with them, but it was like if you were a punk rocker, you didn't go to Matawongs and see skinny tie groups. That's what they called it.
The other label would be that was new wave, and we were punk.
Yeah, but Power Pop. That's the first time I heard Power Pop was probably from Joe Nolte and the Last. From the group The Last. And yeah, I mean, it describes, a sound. It's lazy, I think, but...
You mean to describe it? But yeah, I missed your question about the genre. Your last part of the question, what was, you were sort of asking if that's some sort of ghetto or something. What was your...
I find that Power Pop is just like a ghetto kind of catch-all for like nondescript, whatever, a cheap trick, I guess, but just like things that can't be described otherwise.
I mean, is it a label that bothers you as a founding member of Sloan? It's a very powerful performer.
I've come to accept it, but I used to think it was just like people who purposefully were like playing, skinny tie, anybody who like, I'm making Power Pop music. It was like gross music, but I feel I've surrendered to it, I guess.
Yeah, surrendered to it. You're Power Pop royalty, I'm sorry.
I think we all surrendered to Power Pop in this room. That's awesome. Right over there.
It seems like in the movie that the city of Los Angeles is kind of, an important aspect of your identity. How much of your pop culture love do you think is attributed to growing up in that kind of culture factory, as opposed to, if you were from like Boise, Idaho or something?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we might as well have been from Boise, Idaho when we were teenagers, because, being in suburbs of Los Angeles, you're really cut off from, for us, it was Hollywood. That was the place where reality existed. But, so I don't think there's much difference. But once we got out, I mean, I've lived in Hollywood and Los Angeles for 30 years, and it is just kind of weird just to be a part of it. I think that's why it's hard to kind of describe, how pop culture may have influenced us, because we've been immersed in it, the whole time, just being amongst it. And I don't know what it would be like to be from Boise, so I have no idea if it's any different.
Any Boise residents in the house? Any other questions out there? Oh, yeah, how about the back row?
Thanks. First of all, thank you so much for an incredible career so far. I know you guys are still going, and your record sounds fantastic.
Playing a gig tomorrow night at Lee's Palace.
What I wanted to ask was about the other side of your career. bands that go on, whether it's for a month or 3 decades, are lucky to come up with one cover song that's just electrifying and iconic. You guys could fill a fucking box set. And I want to know what your secret is on picking songs, and specifically, I would love to know how you arrived at PJ Harvey's "Oh My Lover" about 20 years ago.
That's a great question.
Well, she was kind of, PJ Harvey's was kind of obscure. We had just played some festival where we saw her perform before people in America, North America, knew who she was. So yeah, so that was just kind of fun to kind of do a contemporary current cover of a current artist at the time. Like the way people did in the 60s, that's what we were going for. I think, looking back, it's like, why did they do that song? But it was cool. It was, Steve?
Oh, yeah, I love that song. But was the other part of your question, like, how do we choose a cover? And
There must be hundreds of songs you guys would take a great crack at, but what makes you settle on the ones you settled on so far?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the criteria is. I mean, it's also been over the many years. I mean, when we did it, we did a record called Teen Babes from Monsanto that was all covers. And I think the idea with that was to, to go deep cuts, find things that our peers didn't know. And, but I mean, a lot of times it's also just like rehearsing a lot and you're bored of your own songs and you want to, keep it fresh, or you learn from other people's songs too. And then, our crowd, since we've always been celebrating our sort of experience growing up in popular culture, it seems people seem to be on board with it. Like we played Crazy Horses by the Osmonds a lot on this tour.
Killer track.
Yeah, and that came out spontaneously. We'd played it before, but we hadn't played it like in 5 years, and we were having this show in Seattle, and we were a little out of sorts, and then all of a sudden, Jeff decided to pull out Crazy Horses.
Only because we were going to play in Salt Lake City like the next night we needed to rehearse.
Yeah, so we wanted to really please them in Salt Lake, and but it really kind of changed the whole vibe on stage, and it was really exciting. So I don't know. It's always been a part of what we do, but and ironically, on our first batch of songs, we wrote a really sort of a hate track about bands that only played covers called Cover Band. So we're full of all sorts of contradictions, yeah.
Yeah, you had a question.
I just wanted to know how you came to work with Ann Magnuson for the Annie's Gone video on Macaroni and Me, because I heard she kind of had the hots for Robert Hecker there for a while.
Yeah.
That was initially how it started.
In the film Macaroni and Me, she does have the hots for it. We met Ann Magnuson when we did our first show in New York at Danceteria, the famous Madonna hangout. And she was a performance artist. She was a known performance artist in the New York scene.
At that time? Was Bongwater?
I was before Bongwater. And so we just became friends. And we collabed, and that's just one of our friend groups now.
Well, she's friends with the director of those videos, Rocky Shank, the great Rocky Shank.
Is that how you got Rocky Shank to do the Jimmy's Fantasy and Leaving?
Well, no, we got Rocky because we paid him. And then,
He was really.
but I think Rocky knew, and
we got into Rocky because he did this amazing Cramps video, Bikini Girls and Machine Guns, and he filmed it in his living room with just a 16mm camera, and that's what we wanted.
Yeah, we were really excited because back then when we were on labels and stuff, and we had management, and they would just give you this whole reel of a bunch of different things, and all these people, producers, directors, and stuff, and we were always kind of not excited about any of it. And then something like that comes up, and it's this great Cramps video shot in his living room. I'm can we work with him, please? Yeah, so we lucked out. And he brought Ann along.
Awesome. To play Bigfoot.
I know in the movie you guys talk about going to the church, the Black Flag hangout, and I was just curious if you had any funny run-ins with the Descendants there, because I know that they were younger.
Yeah, I had a funny run-in with Bill Stevenson just a month ago, actually, at Punk Rock Bowling at 3 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, the Descendants were the other kids, the other kid mascots in that scene. They were Bill's probably between Jeff's and my age, or your age, and you know, I mean, I don't know. My brain. I was 12, so I have to defer to him on all.
What I remember about the Descendants, one of the first times we saw Black Flag play, they played this teen center in San Pedro, which is a port town in Los Angeles, and there was these little kids playing with them, opening up, and they're called the Descendants, and they were great, and they were obviously into the Beatles and obviously into like new punk rock. So we had, you know, instantly had something in common with them, and so we ended up in basically being based in the same place.
But here's a fun Descendant story. Frank Nevada, one of the founding members who's since passed away, the guitar player, we all decided, when the Rolling Stones came to town in 1981, we decided to go to San Francisco and see them because we missed them in Los Angeles. And so we drove up all night, and we got there at 9 a.m., and we bought really bad acid in the parking lot. And then I think about it now, it's crazy, because in 1981, it was only like 11 years after Altamont. Like, there were still probably really angry Hells Angels in the crowd. And at any rate, we had this crazy day, and then we drove home that night, and Frank was driving, and which was, the kids don't try this at home. And at any rate, at some point, the road ended. The road just ended, and because we were all in the back of a pickup truck, and we left Frank up front. And all of a sudden, like, we're not moving anymore. We looked at it, and then Frank was just saying the word Los Baños over and over, which I think was a town. And at any rate, hilarity ensued. We all got home alive, but yeah, those kinds of things happen from those, you know. But we saw the Stones.
We were chased through the mountains by
yeah, that's true.
lowriders, and it was this weird stuff happened.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So
yeah,
that's a weird Descendant story you're not going to read about in their book.
Yeah, they're not going to. Yeah, and that's another documentary we weren't in, actually.
I got some sad news, which looks like I'm getting the cutoff signal. Maybe one last question here, and then.
Okay, this is a question for Steve. Like you mentioned, like Descendants. What was it like playing it off with like Keith? That period, whatever. You know, what was it like? I don't know.
What was the question about off? What was it like playing with Keith? I love playing with Keith. I've known Keith since I was 11 years old. The Black Flag were like our first mentors. And yeah, I spent 10 years with Keith in that band, and I'm proud of the time I spent with
good
Keith.
records.
And what?
Good records.
Thanks. Yeah, I enjoyed making those records too. Thank you. And yeah.
Well, I guess we gotta wrap it up.
Well, okay, I just want to say, this is incredible. I was very nervous that, like, I was out in the lobby and thinking, like, oh, there's going to be a mass exodus once the credits roll, and that's going to be embarrassing because the guy from the movie's sitting there in the lobby. And none of that happened. You guys are still here. It's like a school night and a work night and all that. And I really, really appreciate how late you guys have hung out for all this. And I'm just super grateful. And I just want to also say that Toronto has always been very kind to Red Cross. And I'm really glad that we could have this evening together. So thank you. And my last thing I'm going to say is that we are, if it kind of got mentioned in passing, we're playing Lee's Palace tomorrow night. We're on tour. So we'd love to see all of you people if you can make it on 2 school nights in a row.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out on a Sunday. Thank you, Ryan from High Notes Vinyl, who's still selling some records over here if you want to check it out. Check them out. And thank you, guys. Thank you, Leslie, because you made this come out. Happy birthday, Leslie. I hope this was a good birthday evening. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Red Cross, everybody.